came through, my extraterrestrial being came through, and he was wearing a pair of sunglasses. And
Oh,
I've
Oh,
never seen that happen before. And it was, it just made it almost cracked me up. I almost took me out of the vibration of the channeling because it was so funny to see. And it reminded me of what we're talking about with Close Encounters and the sunglasses there. But also the
oh,
oh,
idea that, he's with the cool group. So
I love that.
yeah.
it was really great. I've never experienced, I'd never seen that, and it was just a lot of fun. So I wanted to share that with you and your audience.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure they'll
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we're back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. And I'm sure, as you can tell by the beautiful faces on the screen, we've got a lot lined up for you today. So without further ado,
Hey there, Cosmic Thrill Seekers. I'm Justin. This is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together.
And I'm Leslie, your love-lit co-host, also known as an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. Glad to be here as well.
I'm AJ Cavanagh, and one half of Speaking from Source.
And I'm Thomas Workman, the other half. And together we channel a group called The Guide.
right, and I can't wait to dive into that. But real quick, let me introduce you to our audience. So Thomas Workman and AJ Cavanagh are intuitive channels and the co-founders of Speaking from Source. Since meeting each other in 2016, Thomas and AJ discovered their unique ability to simultaneously channel a collective of non-physical beings they call the Guides, a group of angels, ascended masters, native ancestors, elementals, intergalactic and interdimensional beings who speak with one voice from the universal mind. These divine beings share messages and expansion of evolution and of humanity, and focus their teaching on helping humans achieve more consistent state of joy in their lives. Who doesn't want to be more happy, right?
I know.
Through Speaking from Source, Thomas and AJ's mission to share the wisdom of the Guides with as many people as possible. They also offer individual, private, and group sessions with the Guides who answer your most important questions. Speaking from Source offers weekly emails with brief messages of wisdom from the Guides and a monthly online interactive channeling called Conversations with Source. Their website is www.speakingfromsource.com, and I will put a little display underneath while we do that. And yeah, let's just jump right in. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time with us today. I'm stoked. My cheeks
Yeah.
are already like
Super
frozen in
excited.
place.
We're
And
delighted.
all right, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. So where would
Yeah.
you guys like to begin? How did you meet? Where did this all start? Were you channeling like individually before, or did it start when you met? Tell us the tea.
Well, it's interesting because everyone's spiritual path is a unique one, but it's
Yes.
also one that continues to evolve over time. So the more you know, the more you realize, the more there is to know. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it's like a gentle unfolding. And for me, I was always that kid that would see a light in the sky or could guess what was in the glove box of the car or what was under the Christmas tree in the present or something like that. So I always knew I I had these abilities, as it were. And as I developed those in time, it led to my having these conversations with myself, so to speak. I'd ask a question of spirit, and the answer would come back to me. And at first, I just thought it was my imagination. But then I started having these, dialogues, if you will, and the answers that came back were really surprising and insightful to me. And
Mm.
it wasn't until I met Tom that he said, you're really channeling. And we embarked on a channeling process together, which was quite extraordinary of itself. But Tom has his own story of how he came to channel.
Mm.
So, but I had none of those things as a kid.
No, not at all.
Guess what was under the tree to save my life?
Did you peek though? Did you try to find the?
Well, of course. But I will say this: I was always very spiritual and really
Okay.
always seeking a relationship with whatever I knew was out there that was bigger than me, that was sort of more in control, certainly than I was.
Sure.
And so, like most people growing up in the 60s and 70s, that was religion. There wasn't metaphysics. There wasn't
Mm,
any of those things. And so I became very involved in various religions and really sort of scoped all that out and tried to understand that. And being a North American, particularly focused on Christianity,
okay.
and could feel that there was something not quite aligned in all of that.
Okay.
Um,
I can
and
relate.
and at the same time, I was going through my own sort of personal discovery. And so trying to figure out who I was and what was going on with me and looking for those sorts of answers. And interestingly enough, that the universe really, by then I was talking to the universe and saying to the universe, something's got to be different. And I wound
Mhm.
up taking a job in Washington, D.C. And really, that first year in DC, two things happened. I discovered the entire realm of metaphysics and started getting training. But more importantly, I came out. And what's
Nice.
interesting is that those skills, those gifts, didn't appear until I found my authenticity.
Mm.
And I think that
Mm,
that's very true for many. And so as I was training, as I was going through that process of coming out, I would
yeah.
do the same thing. I would sit on my back patio and I would have these 20-minute monologues. And I thought, what are you, just a frustrated playwright? What's up with you? And and again, my mentor, Sheila Cash, who I will credit forever, really sort of helped me understand what that was and helped train me and help connect me. And so years later, after going through many years of channeling circles and really expanding that ability and feeling comfortable within myself,
Right,
most
right. That inner
importantly,
confidence, right?
yeah, both
Mhm.
of us, interestingly enough, kind of came to a point in our lives where we're like, okay, well, we're not really interested in a relationship, but we're just going to stay open. And we met. Truly, I went to AJ's meditation group,
Okay.
and it just so happened the night I went, he usually had 8 to 10 people there. This night, everyone canceled but me. And
That's
so
spirit for you.
I'm
I
telling you,
know, and
I'm
They hooked
telling
up date night.
yeah, exactly.
you. Right, that's right.
And fortunately, I have a no cancellation policy, so I'm going to do it whether there's one or 100, right?
Sure,
So
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
as well.
So, we eventually we developed our relationship. We certainly fell in love and realized
I
that
can see it on your faces. It's so adorable.
we had a lot of common interests, which was to me something really important. We both had sort of told the universe that we wanted someone who really understood and could
Mhm.
really help. Yes, yeah,
We can
make a
relate to that
We
difference,
did the
right?
same thing.
too.
Tremendous difference. Um, and so when we moved in together, I was like, hey, I have a practice, I have an altar that's going to wind up in our living room of our apartment. And do you want to share this with me? And we started our meditation practice together every Sunday night. And sure enough, naturally, we both started channeling. And at the time,
Mhm.
we simply facilitated each other. So one of us would channel, and at the time I was particularly channeling a group of native elders that I called the grandfathers. I mean, I
Oh.
Ah.
literally was put into the circle around the fire, could hear the drums. It was a little exhausting, to tell you
It
the
was
truth.
it was really interesting to witness too, because he would shake as if he was dancing around the fire, and you could hear the deep staccato in his voice. You'd even hear them sort of do a little hey, 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 hey,
Oh
chanting along.
wow.
Wow.
It was like they were right there in the room. It was just
Wow.
incredible.
Boy, to this
That's
day,
awesome.
I adore them more than I can say. But because they're still around, they're still part of the guides. But anyway, AJ was channeling the extraterrestrials because of his
Okay.
background, which is very close with extraterrestrials. And he's got a very strong background connection to that. So we would facilitate each other each Sunday night. I would start or he would start, and I'd ask questions. And we, at some point, we just kind of knew, okay, you're done. It's time for the next person. We could feel the energy move across the room.
And it's
Mm.
interesting because we even had a few groups that we would invite together, and they said that they could feel the energy cross the room as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
It would take turn to channel. It was just fascinating.
So we thought, well, this
wow.
must be the way this is supposed to work. Well, no, no, no. The guides slowly over time, actually, happened first was one day while we were channeling, I channeled the extraterrestrials and he channeled the guides.
Mm.
Oh, you
So
guys.
a flip flop.
Yeah, we switched.
We didn't intend to. It just
No, it
happened.
just happened.
And we're like, how did that happen?
Yeah,
They
and
made
yeah.
that decision, I guess, right?
They did.
well, they did, and we asked, we went, what is this? And they said, we
I'm
all know each
fascinated by
other.
this. They said
You
what?
know,
I'm
we all
sorry.
know each other, right? We all know each other, right? There's a single universal mind.
Yes.
We're all connected to it, and so
We're
it's
all
not
one.
that. And then the grandfathers kicked in, and they said, these are our ancestors. That's where we came from,
Ooh.
and so these are relatives. for
Oh,
us.
oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute, wait
Okay.
a minute. The native grandfathers said that the
Yeah.
ETs are our, oh,
Yeah.
snap.
And isn't that amazing? And
Yes.
if you listen to a lot of programs with native elders or people in the native community that
Star
speak,
people.
it's
Star-
really just every day for them.
Yeah.
It's in their petroglyphs, it's in their ceremonies, it's in their culture,
Yeah.
it's in the skies because they live, in places where they have dark sky that can see all of that out there. And they don't have as many filters as what we may do in the West, where we don't believe in telepathy, or we don't believe that we can even make contact
Right.
with these beings. So the receptivity for contact is really quite phenomenal.
But knowing these civilizations from across the galaxies, you understand why that relationship to the native tribes would be so valuable.
Yeah.
Here's
Right.
people who honor Earth and who
That
understand
part.
They were connected.
that part and understand family and understand relationships
Yeah, and the seasons and the
spirit, given
Yeah.
everything
Right.
to great spirit. We forget that
Great spirit.
those non-physical beings, including extraterrestrials, are highly spiritual. They have a relationship with Source, and there's one
Mhm.
Source. And
Right.
so it was fascinating. What happened then was that we started to meet the rest of the guides. So they would almost weekly
They
introduce
just
a
kind of
new
trickled in.
entity. Yes.
Okay.
So we just brought ourselves into, this meditative trance and sort of like, well, let's see who comes today.
And it was really clear. They kind of introduced these families that we were able to channel, these realms. And of course, many of your viewers would know them as, the ascended masters and the
Yeah.
archangels. But also, to our absolute delight, we had the elemental spirits come in of the trees and the elements and the plants. And occasionally, we will get through, when we do personal sessions, your guides that are around you and those people that are around you to
Mm.
speak in conversation as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
so
Okay.
it's been fascinating. The other thing that I think has happened over the years now, we've been doing this for quite a number of years, is that we've really sort of come to understand the universal mind. And the image they've given us are the guides sort of presenting themselves as one full entity that has different faces popping out. One group
Oh,
asked, who are you and what are your names? And they're not big on names.
Okay.
because it's too limiting to one individual, right?
It's too individual.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's just it. Because, we have a tendency to idolize, particularly in our history. And so,
Mm.
We're
the guy,
conditioned to be that way, though, right?
Yes, and to say I'm the only one that can channel this individual, or aren't I special,
It's very egotistical, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Even,
yes.
let me take it even a step behind that. In
Okay.
other words, say I'm Tom, you're not Tom. The minute I say I'm Tom, I've separated myself from you. And it's
Ooh, I
Yes.
felt
fascinating.
that.
Yeah, it's fascinating because the guides really sort of, again, they presented, here's how they described it to one group. I'll never forget this because it was adorable. To
Okay.
one group, and they were being a little sassy that night. They, they can be quite sassy.
I'm here
You know,
for it.
humor is from the divine. I just will say that. So they celebrate that. It's part of joy. Anyway, they said to one someone asked us, who are you and why don't we know who you are and blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
And they said we are from a single universal mind, but we all wear different shoes.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
In other words, and we see this happening quite often when we channel, there are times when a question is best answered from a unique perspective of
Mhm.
the extraterrestrials or of the angels or of the ascended masters. So at times they really do allow that one blended voice, and you'll
Mhm.
hear that. And at other times, you'll hear very distinct voices when there's a unique perspective to be shared that will provide the greatest insight.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
This is
Yeah.
so fascinating. I'm so stoked for our audience to
Yeah.
hear this. I'm
Me
like,
too.
I'm like, this is amazing. Thank you.
Well, we've given you a lot to digest already, but we do want to hear from you and what you have to say.
I have a burning question about okay, so myself and Leslie and Justin, we are mods for the UAP Society, which
Mhm.
is a group of people. It started from Chris Lato, who started a YouTube channel called Lato Files, or his show is
Mhm.
called Lato Files, and then we have a Discord server. And we just started doing a UAP UFO news segment in which we're like talking about all the latest and greatest things in the UAP world. So since you mentioned ETs already, what's your guys' opinions about disclosure? What do they have to say about disclosure? Like, are we gonna have open contact soon? Like,
Well, so this is a big one, and
we like talking about stuff you normally don't get a chance to. So forgive me if I'm
yeah,
throwing
no,
out the
that's all good.
box.
Absolutely. The guides often in their communication say that we make it a little more difficult, a little more involved than what it really needs to be.
We meaning
So,
humans.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Like for example, when we approach spirituality, we have all these rituals and protocols and standards
Hmm.
that we sometimes put in place when simply you just need to sit and be quiet. Do you
Hey.
see what I mean?
Mm.
And so it's the same with our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. It's not a matter of if or when, because they've been around since the dawn of humanity.
Hmm.
Um, they've been out on this earth for a long time in one form or another. And it is a simple matter of just connecting with them, much like channeling, that connection is an individual one. So if I was to talk to you about spirituality, for example, I wouldn't tell you how to lead a spiritual life because that's for you to decide. And it's kind of similar with the extraterrestrials. They're not going to come in, in mass ways to change the consciousness because the consciousness is there for us to change, and it's through our own connections. Now, having said that, there is this idea of um, a mass awareness, a mass consciousness. And we're coming into that now. As when you travel, for example, you learn that people have different accents or even different languages. And so it's the same for us as we expand our awareness. We come into this understanding of all of the extraterrestrial civilizations and energies that are out there. And it just becomes something that is then generally accepted. And so we're kind of on that precipice. But I think what you are finding, and a lot of your community is finding, that is you're already establishing these contacts. And so, part of what we're about is to say, you can go deeper. They are there for you. It's not a matter of if or questioning or anything like that. It's there for you right now, right in this moment.
Hmm.
But what's interesting is that if we were to talk about humans, generally, you would say, well, that's sort of me and sort of not me, right? Because
Okay.
there's a lot of us, and there's a lot of forms of us, and there's a lot of types of us. And the same is true with extraterrestrials. It's hard to talk about them as this gigantic group because there are so many civilizations, there are so many different forms that you really have to appreciate that. Talk to an extraterrestrial, you talk to an extraterrestrial, right? And you've talked to a species that doesn't even all share the same, because we don't, right? We don't all share the same perspective and opinion and whatnot. And I think it's important to sort of recognize that there are different motivations for different intergalactic beings to connect with Earth and with human beings. Some of it has everything to do with the effect we have on the universe. Every
Okay.
time we have a violent act, it is not just felt in the circles around us, it's felt universally
Yeah.
every time. And so you can imagine that if you had a noisy neighbor who kept firing their gun, at some point you're coming over,
I love that
So-
analogy.
That's a great analogy.
right?
Yes.
We have extraterrestrial civilizations that truly adore us and see themselves as guides and see themselves as advanced teachers, really
Yeah.
ascended masters themselves, some of which have physical bodies, some of which don't.
Mm,
So you're talking about a multiplicity of beings, and it's a lovely thing to think about
yeah.
because you see something in the sky, and I want to say a word about that, but you see something in the sky and you say, who are you? And what's your connection to me? Right? I think the native elders had it right, because they
Mm.
said these are family.
Right.
Yeah.
Are beings that were created by the same energy I was created by. These are
Mhm.
beings that operate with the same universal energy that I have.
And it's interesting to notice how most people who have had an experience in a sighting or something like that always describe it as uniquely personal. I've
Yeah.
actually been in groups where, we've had a sighting and not everyone saw it, and yet we're all looking at the
Yep.
same place at the same time. It's phenomenal how individual that is. You get many people that say, I took my camera out and I'll take all these photographs and nothing will come of it. And then the person standing next to them get all these orbs or, whatever the case
It's
may
like the
be.
phenomenon
Yeah.
can choose who they show themselves to, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
respond to us,
Uh-huh.
respond to
Yes.
certain
Yeah.
people too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. To begin that dialogue, that's right. So the other thing I think it's important to say is that I believe a lot of those civilizations are waiting for us to catch up, because we are a civilization generally that gets very caught up in the phenomenal
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
dramatic and the story. And I just want a picture of a UFO, but that's not what they want. They want a relationship with you. They want to share the wonder of the universe,
Mm.
right? They want to share what they know. They see a potential. They know who we are and what we can do. They know how phenomenal our planet is.
Yep.
So I think we're ascending, we're getting there, but I think we have a ways to go for them to feel safe. Think about every film and TV show you've ever
It's all
seen.
fear-based, right?
Oh,
It's all about like us versus them. I
Could
can't
you-
stand that
Yeah.
division all the time.
Could you imagine going through the library of a planet you wanted to visit and seeing all the films, and you're depicted as this
I know.
alien eater, and alien hunter and all these
Yeah.
awful things? well, you're not going to rush to get to that planet.
Right. And it's funny that you're mentioning movies just because today is Steven Spielberg's birthday. And he was known for like making soft disclosure movies. He did
Yes.
E.T.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes.
Yep, he did.
It's fascinating. There's, I think, a great documentary somewhere about the parallels of Steven Spielberg making Close Encounters and the actual experiences that they have documented around that, even down to the sunglasses that they wore in that final scene and the tones tones that they used in the music with the lights. And it's interesting because we know everything when we connect with spirituality. The churches ring the church bells, or the psychic at home will ring a bell. It's all by tone and vibration. And it was the same with the extraterrestrial beings. In that Steven Spielberg movie, they use those various vibrations and tones to create affinity. And that's really sort of like the bottom line of what we're talking about today when we talk about connecting with your spirit guides or your angels, or even becoming more intuitive, or having those interactions with the advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. It's all just about affinity and about your heart's desire. It's never really an intellectual thing or an ego thing or a conquest type thing. So that's why the guides have us talk a lot about joy, because it's love and joy that brings you those opportunities, oddly enough. And it's funny because when I've been out in the field, looking for UFOs or an experience, whenever everyone's really serious about it, nothing happens. And yet when everyone's sort of feeling a little euphoric and lighten up, all of a sudden, you have these experiences. And so it's quite fascinating. The universe works in kind of exactly the opposite way you would think it would work.
Well, and that's even true for us, right? You're most attracted to people who have the highest vibration. And so we love the work of Stephen Greer, for example. Because a lot of people don't realize when Stephen does his work, he begins with the meditation. He begins with the puja, which is really a prayer of appreciation to all the ascended masters in the universe.
It's good to start off with gratitude and love, right? That's the whole thing.
Goodness.
Come from your heart
space.
space.
Exact opposite of starting by saying, how cool will it be if you show your spaceship to me?
Do something.
Do something. That's
right.
Right. Anyway, so that is I think that's true for us humans as well. And so the guides talk an awful lot about raising our vibration, which is why they talk about joy, because joy is one of the highest vibrational states we can reach. And when you think about that, even love is a little bit below vibrationally joy, because love creates joy. Certainly can.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but our lights just got brighter.
Yeah, they just flickered when you said that. Yeah, they got real bright. I was
really
like,
cool.
ooh.
That's a nice acknowledgement. That's a lovely acknowledgement.
Yeah, we have that happen all the time.
That's like confirmation for me,
Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I love it.
No. That's more than fun.
Allie, that was a great question, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Did you have any questions you want to hit them with?
Well, I did want to mention, that I watched on the, what is it called? The Soul Search TV. Is that the name of the?
Yep.
Yeah. So I checked that out, which I thought was awesome. And I love how you guys are like, breaking down the messages for the audience. And I just think it's just amazing what you're doing. So I'm looking forward to the following episodes of that.
Good. There's always something that we're putting up messages from the guides on our YouTube channel. So we definitely love it if your community can come over and find us at Speaking from Source. And,
I will put that down below.
Yep.
Right there.
And I share
what's amazing is part of the mandate that the guides have shared with us at this time is to make it as real and as practical as possible. Like, for example, at the end of our sessions, the guides will often do something called the hug. Actually, they don't often do it; they always do it.
What's
Okay.
that?
And
I hugged today. I was listening to a video with you guys, and I don't know if you guys were even doing it. I didn't even look at what you were
Yeah.
doing, but I just put the phone down and I put my hands up,
Yeah.
and I was like receiving the hugs. I was like,
You know that started for us on our Sunday nights. We finished, and the guides would usually say they were complete, and we didn't want to leave the altar. We just felt so euphoric and felt
"Mm,
so much love. And then slowly that would fade, and so we were like, well, it's like we just got a hug. And so when we first started communicating to groups, we tried it. I just said, listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but they always hug us. Let's see if they hug you. And
Aw.
so when they say we are complete, just stay still and allow, because sometimes people don't feel it because they resist.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
You know how that goes. We just sometimes put up walls. And then all of a sudden, every group always said that they felt it. I mean, we would open our eyes and people would have tears in their eyes and they'd
oh,
be weeping.
I mean,
And
hugs are known to like literally release all the happy chemicals in your brain. So it's not surprising that if you get a galactic cosmic hug, you feel euphoria.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we need to get a sign. It says free cosmic hugs.
There you go.
But yeah, you guys basically are being like awesome guides, and I hope that you get a lot of viewers, through your YouTube channel and through the Soul Search TV that you're doing.
Yes.
And so I, just researching you guys and watching through, your YouTube channel, speaking from source. I love how you were part of the 2022 Ascension activation with Mateus. What how do you say his name?
See
Mateus.
Stefano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. We
So
like
I,
him.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I ended up watching
he's
all
cool.
that. Kind
You
of binge
know,
watch the whole thing there.
you know
But
what's Yeah, you know what's interesting, Leslie, about that is I put together, I think it's 5 or 6 little YouTube segments about
yeah,
raising the consciousness in Egypt because that was to do with the consciousness grid that affects us all.
yeah.
In a couple of those episodes, we actually caught extraterrestrial phenomena with us, and there's a video there of a daylight sighting that hundreds of us saw. It
Saw
actually interrupted the session that we were doing, and then we had a 5
Wow.
a.m. private visit at the Sphinx, and we were all in
What?
silent meditation. And there was another UFO, and we had video of that, which is in those series as
So
well.
cool.
And
Maybe if you can share with Allie some of those clips so
Oh,
she can
yeah,
put them
yeah, yeah.
in the video. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
they present themselves. They're not backward in coming forward in that respect. And once again, like, I mean, I'm sure that many people that were there, maybe 50% of them weren't aware of what was going on, and the other 50% was like, oh my goodness. But we
Wow.
were it was such a honoring, and yeah, it really is amazing,
I can
amazing.
well,
only imagine the energy there. I mean, being in Egypt,
Wow.
that's here for that purpose on that day. Like,
In that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
I
Yeah.
would
well,
have
we'll
loved
tell
to
you
have go.
another story. Right before AJ went,
Hmm.
we did our weekly meditation. We still do our own meditation time with the guides. And we were talking about the trip to Egypt. He was about to leave in just a few days. And we felt this entity come in and just come right between us, short, small, blue, clearly extraterrestrial. And this being just said, well, I'll be here. I'll be with him the whole time. I'll be taking care of him. In fact, I'm just
Oh,
going to hold his hand. And many times in Egypt, AJ felt him
Yeah.
and
Wow.
oh,
felt
Yeah.
his presence and
Yeah.
his
And
guidance.
it wasn't just, that being was there because I needed that support,
Yes.
because the energy was so high. Like, there were times where it was difficult. I had jelly legs. It was difficult to walk. It was
Wow.
just the energy was, and my body was vibrating so
I believe that.
intensely.
Yes.
And so this being would take my hand and steady me, which was incredible.
Wow.
But
How
not only that,
supportive.
Oh, entirely. They're only ever supportive, which is a sure way to know that you're dealing with the right entities, right?
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Your extraterrestrial brothers and sisters will never terrorize you or, put you through any trauma. But and it was interesting because I know, we were there to do the work that Matthias was doing and support him on that. But I had my own mission that I was doing. And there were times where it was like this bubble would open up in front of me and everyone would clear, and I just have this entire space to myself. There was one time where I had the entire Sphinx to myself.
How many
And
people can say that? Like, think about it.
I know. It was, it was just extraordinary. And, these are the things that happen as you grow and as you develop in your spirituality. That line between what is possible and what is real kind of blurs. And that's, part of that is this idea of the law of attraction, where you can attract what you want.
Yeah.
But beyond that is where you start to have flow and synchronicity, and you get into like this Yoda status where you're just invincible and you just
Mhm.
the force is with you, and it truly is something very special.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's probably worth talking about is one of the messages of the guides, and why also joy is so important, is that we're really at a time of transition, as you can feel,
Yes.
Yes.
right? There's
Yes.
insanity going on.
Mhm.
And the guides call that just clearing. That's just contrast. And our contrast is particularly high because the goal of contrast is to help us find alternatives. So at
Mm.
some
Yeah.
point we say collectively and individually, I don't want to live that way. I don't like this. That's not the
Yeah.
world I want to live in.
Right.
And we start to make different choices, and we start to ascend. Really,
Yeah.
is what ultimately
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But what's interesting is that there's a lot of tumult in that, and the guides often remind us it's bumpy while you're sort of going through all that
Turbulence.
Yeah. A little bit.
That's exactly right. And they call joy the antidote. What
Okay.
they say is that when you reach the vibration of joy, not only do you sort of keep yourself energetically away from some of those things,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
literally become invisible to some of those things.
Mhm.
And more importantly, those things can't have an effect on you. You have a different view
Nope.
of circumstances. You're not there in pity like others around you, and you're not sort of saying, what a crappy
Or
world.
fear.
Joy is this antidote, and we really love that. And we see how joy, as they help people strive towards the state of joy rather than the emotion of joy, that that's really designed for people to move through. And that's
Mm.
our greatest tool. And here it is built into us. Here it is
And
part of us.
see how
Right.
all this messaging is about you? It's not about anyone else, or, I just find that just fascinating. It's not about waiting for your political leaders to save you or waiting for the economy to do the right thing. It all
Yeah.
comes back to you, your vibration, your affinity, the communities that you create, the people that you love being around. And that's how you create and expand this new awareness and this new consciousness. And it's happening faster and faster and faster, which is why we love this opportunity of connecting with you all today.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you
yeah,
so
I'm
much for being
super
here.
stoked for this. And what you just said totally speaks to the importance of doing that inner work.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
when you work on yourself and you're able to let all those old layers and paradigms and programmings fall away, and you just align yourself with that love and light and joy like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Literally your world changes. It's like somehow like some filter is taken away and all of a sudden you got like rose colored glasses on and things start lining up for you and you start meeting people that are supposed to be on your path and like
You
the
start seeing angel numbers everywhere, and
that too.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, Justin. Yeah,
yeah,
that
we
is
see angel
that
numbers
is
all the time.
so true, because this isn't about being qualified either. It doesn't, Tom and I are here not as experts, we're just here as ordinary people. And it doesn't matter, who you are, it doesn't matter what job you hold or in your educational status or your cultural background or the things you've done in the past or how you've been judged in the past. It
Oh,
simply comes back to the present moment and your desire and your intention and connecting with what makes your heart sing. And that's where I get back to that argument again. It's often simpler than what we really have imagined it to be because
Hmm.
people say, well, if you've done this, you can't do that. And if if you don't have the money, well, you can't do this. And,
mm-hmm.
all of these type of qualifiers that in the realm of spirituality just do not exist.
Right.
We bring in the guides. Would you like to talk to them?
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, that's
Great.
All righty.
I'm so excited.
We're going to actually do a very, very short meditation. It brings us into trance, and so we'll see you later. But
Okay,
we encourage you to come along with us. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together, and
absolutely.
then we're going to activate quickly our chakra system because they work, of course, through our third eye. This is
Sure.
our window to the etheric realm, and so we'll call them in. You'll hear us do that, and then you'll definitely see when they're
Yeah.
here.
Great. And toward the end, they may ask if you are complete, if you have any further questions, or they may say that they are complete as well, which kind of wraps up their energies. But as we suggested, for the 3 of you and for everyone watching, just stick around for a little bit in silence and share the energy of that hug. And then we'll come back for a little debrief as Tom and AJ.
Oh my
Allow that.
gosh.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. All right. Here we go. If you would join me by taking a deep breath in and out, in and out, in and out. Allow your breath to simply continue normally, but pay attention to it for a few moments. Really feel the air going in and out of your body as the universe gives you this free gift of life, letting it feed each and every cell of your body, the home of your incarnated soul at this time. Feel as Mother Earth comes up through your feet, meeting the divine coming through your crown chakra, joining together right in the seat of your soul in your solar plexus. Feel those energies now align as we move our attention, breathing up to our third eye, allowing the beautiful indigo light to emerge, opening the door into a new dimension, into another time and space, out of this dimension, out into the etheric realm where we can see the brilliant light of Source shining brightly, always there for us to see through our third eye given to each and all of us. And there around this glorious light are those closest to the light of the highest vibration, focused on the greatest and highest good of the universe. And we call upon these entities. We call upon our beloved guides. We call upon the guides of those who are listening and those who are part of this program. We ask that you enable AJ and I to communicate clearly that which you bring to us, that you download to us for the greatest and highest good of all of those who are listening.
We are so grateful to be with you today, for this is an auspicious occasion for us to be able to connect with you, for we see the strong energies of what you call desire, your intention, your heart, your enthusiasm. And we wish to inform you that it sends a tremendous light up into your environment, up into the universe, for us to perceive. for us to perceive and see you, and enables us to be able to have this conversation with you.
You understand, of course, the power of the light, for you are living it at this moment. This enthusiasm that you are feeling, this love that you are feeling, this vibration. We ask you to envision an entire planet, an entire civilization filled with this energy, for it is more than possible. It exists for you and is simply waiting for you. What then is in the way? What then keeps you from being able to find this feeling far more often than you allow yourself to? For though you have the capacity for joy, we must let you know that there are greater energies attempting to enter your planet. And yet, if we cannot get you to joy, we cannot get you higher. And there is more for you to learn. And so we must ask the question, what is in the way? And we suggest to you that in the way often for you is a focus on your separateness, a focus on your individual needs, and a set of premises. We love this word, premise. We mean by this a set of truths that you operate by that control the story that you tell. It is in the telling of the stories that you share with one another that keeps your vibrations lower than they need be. And so we encourage you to question each of these assumptions and to find simply through asking, for we are always present in your desire to know. And so we encourage you to continue to ask and to question every part of your story that does not result in this high vibration feeling, in this level of a universal energy.
We perceive in you, in one of your many stories, this idea that you are powerless as you look out upon your society, as you call it, and you see those individuals in the seats of power that seemingly control what you would consider as civilization. And yet we remind you, dear ones, that you are the way showers, you are the light bearers, you are the ones that have the opportunity to affect the consciousness in miraculous ways through your connections, through your working with your energetic systems and developing your innate abilities that are within you, within us all. So indeed, you are the ones who hold the true power at this time.
You sit in choice always, for you have the blessed opportunity to choose and to choose again and to choose again whatever it is that you believe will serve you best. For as you are growing, as you are evolving, as you are expanding, is the word we love to use for you. As you expand in your consciousness, you recognize more each and every time what it is that holds you back from realizing all the choices that are available to you. For you spend far too much of your time in shame or in guilt for the choices you have made, when all you need do is choose again and to choose again until you are able to find, for every choice is a lesson for you. Every choice expands your consciousness in beautiful ways.
We are excited to experience your unique energies through the vibration of your voice at this time, and open to invite your questions.
I just wanted to start off by thanking you guys for being here with us, for bringing these super high energy vibrations to us, and for reminding us that we have the power to tap into it at any point with every decision that we make. How do you suggest that we stay in a high vibrational state like this all the time so that we could best help the consciousness collectively?
We return to this idea of story, for as life occurs for you in your incarnation, there are things along your pathway, contrasts particularly, that are there for you to determine how you shall respond. And therefore,
Okay.
should the story that you tell be one of a victim, then it is easy to remain in a lower vibration, for this is not a high vibration thought. You do understand, of course, it is your thought that controls your vibration. It is simply the things that you focus upon. And so as you focus upon appreciation, as you see the blessings that surround you, the opportunities that are always available to you, the resources that are never denied you, and most importantly, dear ones, we wish to remind you that you are adored by Source. We must say this to you often, for you often forget and believe that somehow the universal mind tolerates you when in fact it adores you.
Aw.
And knowing that you are adored, knowing that you are precious, that your soul completes the universe, that your soul completes an aspect of the universe that is missing without it. That is how valuable you are to all of the rest.
You see the healing, you see the opportunity for the light and what it allows for you both individually and collectively on the planet. And so this is where your consciousness should be placed. And it is in the letting go often of your stories or your beliefs or even of your expectations, and simply allowing yourself to be in the moment in whatever you are doing, to simply be. For in those moments, you are in an expanded state of awareness, and an expanded soul is one that is thus then able to receive.
Easy for you, much easier than you believe, for all you must do is see how you feel. For you are always given a vibrational response to the things that you are thinking. And so you must come to trust this. What feels heavy, what feels dense to you, what feels as if it conjures negative emotion, sadness, despair. These are clear indicators that what you are thinking are inaccuracies. They are not serving you well, for thoughts serve you. And you have the opportunity to choose again, and to choose again and again how you shall think until you find the state of being that is joy.
This is the purpose of a contrast upon your planet at this stage. This is why you so often see things that maybe are counter to your intention, so that you have an opportunity to feel these vibrations for yourself and to make new choices which are far more aligned.
Mm.
Thank you. I have a question, Allie.
I'm
Aw.
so moved right now.
Aw. I have a question on I guess maybe autism in particular, or people who are born into this world with maybe illnesses or disabilities that might create a challenging life for those individuals.
We must speak of autism specifically first, for we must say to you there are many labels humans use. Note that they tend toward the negative. To determine something as an illness that is instead a unique characteristic of the soul, for you do not yet recognize the ascended soul and wish to label it as abnormal. And this is happening often with your children, far more often than is necessary. For should you simply allow the child to be, then the child would show you many wonders in their state of consciousness. They, an ascended being, each generation coming to a greater level of ascension. This is why you see more of this on your planet at the time And so we encourage you here again to tell a different story. Now, as for other circumstances, ones that you have labeled tragic in many cases, an illness, a short life, for whatever reason, we remind you that you make a choice with each and every incarnation, what experience your soul needs to have. And you do know, of course, that you have lived before and you shall live again, that you have many lives. And we are interested, of course, in this incarnation, and yet our view of you, the soul of you, is one of an eternal trajectory, one of a pathway that goes over many lifetimes, all in pursuit for the same mission, for the same purpose, if you will. Many of our human friends ask us, what is my purpose? And they are waiting for us to say, you should be an accountant. We will not say this. We instead say to you, your purpose is, as all beings, it is to realize the nature of your soul. And this occurs over the experiences, incarnation after incarnation. And so, as you transition from one incarnation to another, sometimes here on this planet, sometimes in other dimensions and realms, and with other civilizations, this is what we mean by affinity with these other extraterrestrial civilizations. And yet, all of these are decisions that you make, asking only to know how you can best advance your soul. At times, this is through a life of great success, a life of great accomplishment, a life of great health or wealth. But oftentimes, this only feeds your soul so very much. And it is important for you to say, I wish to experience a life shortened by an illness such as cancer. I wish to experience being in a family that is abusive. I wish to experience poverty. For this is missing in my soul's experience, so that I may grow in greater compassion, I may understand in greater ways. And this shall be realized, these lessons, in lifetime after lifetime, as you progress and advance.
Difficult concepts to consider, difficult in the extremes of a contrast which exists, and yet knowing the soul's plan, the opportunity for it to learn and grow and develop through all of its experiences, what you would term good or bad or indifferent or fortunate or unfortunate. You must then look as we look upon you, as whole, as complete, as divine beings, for this is the aspect of your soul, which is eternal, which is always complete, which is always perfect. And so as you look upon your brothers and your sisters, do so in this capacity. And as you do so, watch for the transformations that occur both in your heart and in the others around you.
And see the contrast of when you see them as their illness as opposed to as their whole being. You note the difference that these two things express themselves emotionally. For there you shall see that there is joy when we recognize one another's wholeness rather than one another's deficits.
Wow. You guys just answered
Beautiful.
my question. And I didn't even ask it. Okay. So
I'm grateful.
yeah. Okay, so that was the first question that I was going to ask that they already answered.
Okay.
Second question is, what is your guys' greatest hope for the future of humanity?
You are growing, and you, with every ounce of your expansion, move closer to higher degrees of dimensionality. For now you live in three-dimensional reality. Some of you have escaped to a larger dimensionality, and yet few of you understand what this means. For each dimension is a form of consciousness that allows another shadow to be exposed. And therefore, as you advance as a civilization, this we are most excited about. We see your ability to move closer towards oneness, to move closer as we are to an understanding of our universal connection. And therefore, all things connected to those shades of gray, those additional dimensions, and there are far more than 5. We shall let you know. There are many, many more ahead for you over millennia. And therefore, the more dimensionality that is gained in your consciousness, the less of a need to be violent towards one another, for your understanding of one another, even without words, exists for you. Your ability to see not good or bad or right or wrong, but to see all the shades in between, all the explanations for the behaviors that you display to one another. And the need for many of those behaviors begin to step aside, for you're able to see a greater level of consciousness. This we know is your future, and yet it is why we are here. We are here to assist you, as we have been since you as humans were first formed. It is why we have always been near you in one form or another, though at times you call us sages or other names that have a different connotation. It does not matter to us. What matters is our ability to guide you towards this greater consciousness that is yours and therefore is ours as well.
This notion of an expanded awareness for you as you come into the full understanding of the aspect of love is our sincerest hope.
There are many symbols now that surround you. There is many forms of these truths, this consciousness available to you now. We encourage you to take time in silence, in open-mindedness, where you free yourself of the stories that surround you each and every day, and allow yourself to notice in the shapes that come as stars align with one another, the intricacies of your nature. For these are all a part of universal expression of a far greater dimensionality, just waiting for you to contemplate and to recognize. These are around you at every moment and just waiting for you to realize, for example, the power of what you call sacred geometry. And for in there are encyclopedias of knowledge about how the universe operates. And we encourage you then to spend just a small amount of time between your television programs to contemplate the richness of these images.
Wow. Okay. I had a question, Allie. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm still trying to collect myself.
Okay. So we in our group and the people we talk with talk a lot about the date 2027. Sometimes it's 2026, but it feels like there's something about to happen, and we've heard it from multiple different sources. I would say, Allie, you could chime in on that, but we're very curious, I would say, all of us, about that timeline and if there's something actually
We love you so very much, but must remind you that what is in the future has not yet occurred, and all that exists for you is now. This very present moment. You are becoming better at releasing your past, and we encourage you to do the same with your future. For is each moment, including now, this very present moment is leading you to what you are referring to in 2027, the year you call 27. This time period is entirely dependent upon you and entirely dependent upon those of you who are watching this program, who are leading this program, who we call sentinels, for you stand ahead of many of your fellow humans who are still lost in limited consciousness. It is your role, particularly, to stand firm in your new growth and to allow others to see. You need not force them to change. You are unable to wake them. What you may do is simply show them what this expanded consciousness looks like. And then, in a very short time, you shall see a critical change begin to occur, not the end. We must be clear. You will not wake up into a world of oneness. For oneness does not happen to you, it happens through you. And so each decision that you make bring you closer to this reality that you seek.
Indeed, and we also ask you the question, why would you put off something that is available to you now when you can have it now with your intention for the entire universe? The wisdom of the universe is available to you in these present moments for you to expand upon in your consciousness. This aspect of hoping or wishing for a future you have noted in the past is always at arm's length, always ahead. For you, consider it by nature in your future, something that cannot be attained, something that you have to wait for, or something that has to be earned. We invite you to step into present time and present consciousness and be the light, be the change, be the experience you wish to desire now.
And we are so very excited and commend you for as more and more of you engage in this consciousness, more and more awaken around you. For they see the contrast that you create. They see joy that is not dependent upon circumstance. They see an optimism that is not based upon the things that must happen to them or around them. This is occurring for you now and shall only grow greater and greater over the coming years.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I'm
Beautiful.
We are interested in taking one final question from you.
Leslie?
I was kind of curious about how it seems that there is lots of channelers, just like AJ and Thomas are doing. And I'm curious as to why there seems to be such an increase in that, and is it to do with the increase in consciousness and this timeline that we're in?
For a reason, dear one, for a specific reason, one of them being in the increased ability of consciousness, the other as individuals throughout the planet connect to us through this aspect you call channeling, and through connecting with their natural abilities. And finally, in the aspect of those that wish to connect on an energetic vibrational realm through affinity, for there are a great many channelers, as you have mentioned, and there will be more emerging, and yet these messages are universal in nature. They are not dissimilar, and yet there are those individuals who are able to hear them best from one than another. And so therefore the proliferation of individuals such as Thomas and AJ are coming forward at this time so that they can best reach those individuals who desire to resonate with their frequencies.
There are many of us, though we have different personalities and require different spokespersons, if you will. Why are there more and more emerging? For you are asking more and more. And therefore, the universe only says yes. It is impossible for the universe to say no. And therefore, each time you ask, more opportunities exist for you. And Thomas was quite resistant when we suggested to them that we were here not just for their edification, but to share messages with the rest of humanity. Thomas said to us, he said, there are too many voices now. You do not need us. There are many quite competent individuals who are quite popular. And we said, none of which have your unique perspective as we have unique perspective. And therefore, we are encouraging you and shall walk with you as you begin. We remind them as we remind you that all human beings are granted a third eye. Your ability to access the etheric realm is no different than others. And finally, you shall realize that this is not celebrity stuff, that instead all beings have this ability to communicate with spirit, and some will do so with greater skill and greater mastery. We speak often of mastery of those interested in learning these skills. And yet, we remind you that it is nothing special. And finally, you are evolving to a place where you are allowing all the perspectives, all of the third eyes able to collect messages from the universe. And soon you will be a
Oh.
Oh no! What
Oh my
happened?
goodness. Do we need to?
It's their meeting.
Yeah.
So
They'll
they
have to rejoin.
Oh my gosh.
That's wild.
The vibes were too high. The internet couldn't handle it.
I was feeling it. Like, they answered my question.
What was your
You
first
know?
question?
What can we do to help? What is the greatest thing that we could do to help people who will remain blocked to love and consciousness?
Oh. Yeah, they did answer that.
I kept asking that over and over in my head.
Well, they heard you.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was going to mention that I feel like, not that I'm I mean, I guess it is channeling to some extent, but I'll like have thoughts or talk about stuff. And then the next thing I know, I'm like seeing it. Another like
Yeah.
person video is saying the same thing. And it's just like, it makes me think I'm channeling.
Right.
Hey, you might very well be.
I like when they started the the meditation, I really felt like something else was like coming into me. And
Yes, that's why I got
and
overwhelmed.
I was like, yeah. And like I don't know, I just felt like I was gonna start talking like they were.
How far did they get? Did they close?
They
No.
said their final question, but you guys were still talking when it cut out, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they were still talking.
Oh,
I think
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
I think we got
Well-
about halfway through.
Halfway through
Oh,
what? The
the
last
answer.
question? Oh, the answer. Oh, the
Yeah,
answer.
the
Okay.
last question.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, I'm so sorry for that.
It's
because
okay.
we missed the hug. Well,
Oh.
Now, I want to say, I mean, I know it was probably disconcerting because we disappeared and then you weren't able to have the attention of the hug. So I am sorry about that.
Oh,
but
It's
I
okay.
say that they definitely gave it. So
Okay.
I'll tell you.
I guess I'll get a bit of a delayed reaction on that. Yeah, gosh, they were they just re-expressed their love for you.
Oh.
Okay.
And really re-expressed
The unconditional love of Source, really.
Yeah.
I felt
for each and every one of you.
Mm.
So just open up and
Yeah.
allow that. It's there for you.
Mm.
I think that also in the transmission, they talked about vibration. And I think that a lot of your viewers will also get that hug through the transmission just through watching this as well. I
Okay.
did want to share something with you and your audiences that I think you might get a kick out of.
Go for
Just
it.
as you were going into channeling. I normally have a being that I see in my third eye that comes through. And, we talk about humor and the way that, some of these beings express their humor. And, it's really funny because the extraterrestrials, when they come through, they're pretty straight up and down. They're pretty, straightforward in their approach. But sometimes, I remember I used to tell Tom, they heard you and they were laughing on the inside, But today, when they came through, my extraterrestrial being came through, and he was wearing a pair of sunglasses. And
Oh.
I've
Oh.
never seen that happen before. And it was, and it just it almost cracked me up. I almost took me out of the vibration of the channeling because it was so funny to see. And it reminded me of what we're talking about with Close Encounters and the sunglasses there. But also the
Oh.
idea that, he's with the cool group. So
I love that.
Yeah.
it was really great. I've never experienced, I'd never seen that, and it was just a lot of fun. So I wanted to share that with you and your audience.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure they'll
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah. I have to tell you guys, when you started and when they started coming in, I really felt something within me, like, wow,
Yes.
that was really powerful. I've never felt that before, and
Same.
I've done a lot of meditation, and
Mm.
I like to think that my vibration is a little higher, right? But that was a really
Yeah.
positive, really loving energy that I've really felt over me, and it really felt I really felt that vibration. That was
I
amazing.
have to tell you a funny story. Not funny, but one of the reasons why we ask everyone to share the meditation that we go into is because they really need to prepare you for that vibrational shift. And usually that's a much longer process. We do that for a good 15 minutes with clients and groups, but we
Wow.
didn't take as long here, so we asked if they would abbreviate it. And of course, they're usually saying to us, okay, come on.
I
We're the
felt
ones
that too, man. It was just like
Yeah.
a feeling
And so did
here
Leslie.
that
Yeah.
like just slowly like, but I was like, whoa, what do I do with all this?
She was crying.
Well, we had this is the story. We had another group that we were doing in a podcast, and one of the people afterwards asked a question, and she basically said, "I went into heart palpitations. The energy was so strong. Y'all almost
Wow.
killed me." And but we
We
had
got to
have
prepare people.
yeah, we got to prepare people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the energy as well, and I almost was having like a third eye visions, almost like it was like
Yeah.
this deep,
Mhm.
which normally would take me longer and more breathing and all that to get to that. So that was
I
interesting.
still
Definitely.
feel it.
Yeah,
Like
me
I still
too.
feel kind of
You
like,
were
Yeah.
for a while.
Oh,
yeah.
that's amazing.
That's fascinating. Once again, it is also that idea that there is no separation. We might be doing this over the
Yeah.
internet, but our connection, our heart connections that we can establish, are real and are present for us. And so I would also suggest, if you're watching this interview, wherever you are, whatever time you are, you'll be able to experience that, and just pay attention to your sleep as you go to bed. Just go to bed with the most loving energy that you can, and you'll probably get some insight. You'll probably get some downloads. You might even astral project. Who knows?
Amazing. I love astral projecting.
That's the when you open up to those energies, all of these things become possible for you, and so it could be quite a little trip.
AJ and I are really sitting at the front of the classroom as students of the guides, and I have to tell you how delightful it is to learn that I'm not a victim of circumstance, that I
Amazing.
actually have that much control over what I feel
Yeah.
and what I experience, and I can't think of better news, quite
It's
honestly.
beautiful. Yes, I'm learning as well, and yeah, to be in a state of joy is
Mhm.
just amazing, and I try to stay there.
Yeah.
It's challenging. sometimes.
Yeah,
Of course.
and I think that's why they have us speak, because it does take that constant reminding,
Yeah.
because we've been, programmed and taught, all of these things about guilt or what we should do or how we should feel or how we should be. And, it really is very liberating to be free of your circumstances in that respect, and to know that you have that much light and that much power and that much support from the divine as well is truly amazing.
Well, and that much love, right? I mean, so it
Mhm.
really, they are a broken record about how much love the universe has for us, and yet
I feel like
it's
we need to hear it though. Like we need to hear it because we've been so bombarded with so much other stuff throughout our whole lives and been conditioned to be the way that most
Yeah.
of society is
Yeah,
right
we
now.
the truth of that we are love and
Yes.
loved and light and
Yeah.
right.
like
And
it's okay.
thank you for
Who you
sharing
are.
that here. That was such a super empowering, beautiful, impactful
Yeah.
message. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful.
Also,
Thank you.
I did mention while we were cut out and lost the mission that we actually did take a minute and quiet. We've all closed our eyes to try to send you the message of what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Trying to communicate with you, like I guess telepathically, our heart, I don't know.
Well,
So in a way, I feel like that's a synchronicity
yeah.
because we did
Synchronicity.
take with
Yeah.
the
And
three
then
of
you
us
guys came back.
together
Yeah,
to like connect
And
with
that
you
is
guys.
very
So,
cool.
like,
Yeah, it is funny because we really do lose track of time and space.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Flow
kind of
state.
cool. Yep. And
Yeah.
it's really funny too, I did want to mention just before we close out that
Mhm.
for many of those people, those viewers, and your audience that are maybe familiar with channeling and hearing message from individual channelers, what you saw was Tom and I channeling together. And we are channeling from a single mind, from a single consciousness. And the idea there is that it's an example of oneness, of what a shared mind can do. And we do see that with people that are in love. They'll end up saying the same things or doing the same things. I'll tell you a funny story. Last Christmas, yeah, you too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that with you too, for sure. But last Christmas, it was really funny. We put our Christmas gift, normally, one or two little funny little gifts under the tree, and we put it under the tree Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
And so the next day we came out and we realized that we'd picked both the identical same wrapping paper, which was
That's
really,
so
really
funny.
funny. And then we decided to give each other cards,
Same card too.
same cards.
Exactly.
And I'm like, no way, of all of the cards, of all of the things, it was
That's
just crazy.
awesome.
Yeah. It is interesting when we channel, um, the guides will be speaking through AJ, and yet I have the word in my head.
Mm.
Yeah.
And something will happen for him. He'll have the word, and we even kind of know who's supposed to respond when and how.
Oh,
It's
okay.
that's so very much like
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
It's interesting to see
Yeah.
that.
it's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
Well, they
Awesome.
answered a question that I had not actually asked
Out loud.
I had kept asking this question over and over in my head, in my mind, and
They
they
do
came
that a
through
lot.
and completely answered it, and the question was, what is the greatest way that we can spread love to people that are cut off or that are blocked from receiving love?
Yeah.
and they answered that. Wow, that was amazing.
I have to tell you, that happens a lot, that in our monthly group sessions that we do online, they usually have quite a long front message for the group. And then they open up for questions, and it's pretty common that someone will say, "Well, you got all mine already."
Wow.
Very
Wow.
funny.
How can people join that group?
Yeah, where can people find you online? Tell us where they can go.
Yeah, because I would love to join if I could.
Well, we'd love to have you. We try to keep it really inexpensive so people can be a part of it.
Okay.
It's once a month, and we have all the dates, and you could buy your seat at speakingfromsource.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so an events page there,
Mhm.
and just look for Conversations with Source. It's normally on a Sunday, and it's a small little Zoom group that we do, and it's really quite lovely to experience the energy of the guides and also the community of others, both in North America and throughout the world that join us.
And we keep it purposefully small so that people have an opportunity to ask their questions and interact.
Oh.
They're really not kidding when they say conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's more than just you get to ask a question. there are people who sort of express and talk about their circumstances and just want a perspective
Mm,
from the guides about that. And it's a lovely conversation, and the guides love that.
cool.
They really respond to that well. So we do that every month,
Okay.
on Sunday a month, and everyone's welcome. Again, we keep the group small,
All
so
right.
we just encourage people
I
to get
love that.
early.
Yeah. And I'll put all these links in the video description box down below so
Yeah.
you guys can click on that and join and get all the benefits of these things that they're doing. And also, speaking of community, thank you guys so much for joining the Hello Allie Discord server.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys being there and spreading your love and messages there as well.
You bet.
Absolutely. Yeah. We may not be frequent visitors, but we're on, we'll certainly say hi.
Your
and we really-
energy is felt regardless.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell you, I share and appreciate your Wednesday.
Wisdom
the-
Wednesday.
Oh, good.
Yes. So I look at that every Wednesday, and I'm sharing it on the Discord as well with everyone to be able to see that. So yeah, that's an awesome little thing that you're doing there, just for
Mhm.
Well, we got to thank you too, because it really is all about community right now. As we come together in oneness,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just these communities are bubbling up, and they're so wonderful. And so that's why when Allie reached out to us and we had that opportunity to connect, we were like, oh, absolutely.
Yes, thank
Thank
you
you,
so
thank you.
much.
Be there right away, and we're just delighted to meet you all and to be a part of it as we grow and expand in love and light together.
I'm so excited
is
for the
amazing.
ripple effects of this conversation. Like, I'm
Me
already
too.
like feeling how amazing this is going to be for our community to experience
Yeah.
it. So many, many, many thank yous.
Thank you,
Oh my
guys.
gosh.
You're so welcome. Thank you. It's quite a
Thank
blessing.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a
Yes, so-
great holiday season.
Oh yes,
Oh, you
happy
too.
holidays
You
to
guys
you
too.
guys.
Thank you.
yes.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank
All
you.
righty,
Okay.
bye. Namaste.
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 Wow, that was amazing, you guys. I was so moved by that. I'm a little bit scared to see what I look like on camera crying. I hope I don't look too crazy.
You were crying. That was sweet.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. And yeah, we're super lucky that we got them as guests and that we get to share their light with our people and hopefully many more. And the message is super impactful and it resonates very much with how I feel about everything. And I can say that yes, we can choose to go to a place of joy, and we don't need to like let circumstances and things going on in our life bring us down into negative vibrations. That we actually do have control over that, which
It's
I hope forever.
empowering. It's
Yes.
empowering. I love that they gave us that reminder that, like, we can do the work ourselves, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is available to us all the time, What'd you
Yeah.
think?
Speaking of vibrations, it was amazing that I felt such a high vibration within myself, and such a, this love that just embraced me. When they started channeling, it was something that I've never really felt. I mean, I think I have felt something similar, but not to that extent, not to that level as I did it just a little bit ago.
Yeah, it
It
was
was amazing.
strong. Like, I literally felt it like come towards me and like resonate right here, and then it like expanded out, and I was like wanting to make some sort of like verbalization, like woohoo or wow or something like that, but like I knew I couldn't because that would like ruin the vibe. So my body just turned it to tears, and I was just like, oh my god. I really appreciate them being the guests, though. Well, what I'm honestly most excited about is for this to reach our audience and for their message to reach our audience, and then the ripple effects that it's going to have on the
Yeah.
collective. That's what I'm most stoked about.
Yeah.
And I
feel
love
really
that
good about that.
yes, and I love that the guides touched on that about how it's important that we hold the light. I was like, we're the light workers.
I'm like,
yeah!
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh.
Well, thank you guys for being here with me. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. To our audience that's watching, thank you guys for listening
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here and watching till the end like this. And while you're still sticking around, do us a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, click the notification bell, leave comments down below, and share this message with your family and friends. Yay!
Yay.
Yay.
Right, happy holidays, happy new year. We love you guys so much.
Happy holidays, everybody. Happy
Uh-huh.
New Year.
Thank you.
Right, and we'll see you next
Yep.
time. Mwah! Much love, deuces.
Mwah.
Namaste.
Stay.